Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Half Hammered Horror. We are half hammered.
Yeah.
I would say like I'm a third. I'm a third hammered.
Oh.
I'm not half yet. I'm a big man.
The night is young.
I'm a big man. I'm a big man. Maybe I'm half hammered. Who knows? So this is an idea we had like a year ago.
Yeah.
But obviously we've been busy
Full of ideas.
making a film. Full of ideas, but not full of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time
Yeah.
is of the essence.
What does that mean?
I don't even know. I
You
just
can't
said
smell time.
it. No. What? I don't think
Hang on.
that's right.
No. Do you smell an essence? Hang on.
Are you thinking of a fragrance?
I am. Time is of the fragrance. That should be a saying. Oh, Jesus.
We should probably explain who we are.
We should. You go first. I need a moment.
Not everybody understands why we're doing this.
Not everyone understands that time is a fragrance.
So I'm Laura, and this is Jamie.
Hello. I'm saying hello to the microphone. Hello.
And we are Redshirt Films.
We are.
A small independent film company based out of York.
All right, corporate. Business Williams. No, we started making stuff about 10 years ago, I think.
You did.
I did, and then obviously you joined about 4 or 5 years ago, and you just demanded to be a part of it, even though I initially refused.
refused.
I initially refused, but you were just too keen. I mean, look, you're wearing a T-shirt that's, how can I say no to that?
Well, yeah.
I mean, you did just dig it out of a bin from over there because you felt like the T-shirt you were wearing was too dark for the internet. It's true. So, this is the thing we want to do because we love horror films and we watch a lot of horror films and we talk a lot of horror films. We bought a sofa recently that is basically dedicated to the art of watching films.
I wonder what you were going to say then.
Well, no.
We bought a sofa then that was made out of horror films.
But it is. We scouted for, our whole living room is based around watching films, really, isn't it? It's, the as Joey Tribbiani said, what are you going to point your furniture at?
Yes.
Yeah, we pointed it
Not
at
a fireplace, mate.
Not a fireplace.
Not a fireplace.
Because we can't afford a fireplace.
We can't afford to light wood on fire.
That's true.
We light DVDs on fire. We've got plenty of them.
They don't
no,
burn.
we couldn't afford the petrol.
They pop and they sizzle. It's no good. It's no good. We are talking now very quickly our drinks of choice this evening. So drinks of choice this evening, I have gone for a rather refreshing JW Spices with a splash of Coca-Cola.
It's not just any Coca-Cola. It's Coca-Cola with a Santa on the label.
Because apparently it's Christmas time already. What?
I have gone for a Tesco's London Gin, which, let me just tell you this, because I think it's very entertaining.
Classy.
It won the International Wine and Spirit Competition Quality Award.
So it's
Wait. Bronze. Wait. 2015. We're accompanied by a
I've gone so pink.
Fever Tree.
It's like two
Shut
complete...
your mouth, I'm telling about my drink. Fever Tree. Clementine tonic water. With cinnamon. Cinnamon.
Can you taste the cinnamon?
No. It's very orangey.
It's orangey.
And warm.
There's nothing in there about
We don't
oranges.
have a fridge. No, wait.
We have a fridge.
Yeah, what, upstairs?
Oh, in the office. Okay, I thought like at home.
We need
like,
ice for this, so if anyone wants to bring us a bag of ice, that's fine.
The state of
it's
our
not live,
current
so no
live
one's gonna do
situation isn't that bad. That was me checking the sound levels. That was smooth, wasn't it? Leaning in. So if you're listening to this we don't entirely know what the destination for this is going to be yet. So we're going to bang this on YouTube. We're going to probably cut some stuff out for Facebook. We just wanted to the whole idea behind it was YouTube is I love YouTube. I properly love YouTube. Like I really have always been
I love
a
it
little
to
bit...
watch, but I don't love it for what it can give you as a No,
but it can do amazing
producer
things. YouTube can do amazing
content.
things, and I always think it's we put a lot into YouTube early on. Maybe not so much in the last couple of years, but like I always felt I was always a little bit like a little sad that we didn't kind of take off a little bit. But we were 10 years too late and 15 years too old. Now I know. You have to rub it in. I can say it. You can't.
Why?
That's my word.
I'm 34.
38. Wait for that little red light in my hand to light it.
The black spot.
That's a pirate thing.
You've got the black spot.
You got the black
You're
spot.
drinking JW Spices, mate.
You bought it, mate. Come on. We're moving into the horror history. You know who we are.
Yeah.
You've met the drinks. We've had far too many of them already. But the name of the show is Half Hammered Horror. Yeah, it's not slightly tipsy after a hard day at work, having a glass of Chardonnay in the local pub. It's no,
Mate,
drink.
Glass of Chardonnay, I'll be off my face.
It's because you're a tiny person. You're a tiny person. We're going to move into the horror history, and I think this is an interesting one to do for the first episode. And this is probably one we'll do for everybody. I think any guest that we have on the show, we'll do the horror history, and we'll kind of find. I think it's fair to say, people who are like real fans of horror, and I'm gonna maybe sound a bit elitist here, but I think me and you are real fans of horror because we love horror. Like, there's a real thing at the moment, like there's a real trend at the moment about just being a fan of horror, but also properly hating it. Like every time something comes out, there's just a rage behind it. Oh, it's not what I wanted it to be. It's not the original. I know that's bringing like my thing I want to talk about later on is the remakes and the reboots and things. But there's a whole thing at the moment. I think every time like a new horror film comes out or is released or there's a trailer, there seems to be a kind of wave of, especially on social media. Fuck this film, trash.
F-bomb.
It's the first one. I'm allowed some. Get that. Let's get content flagged on this. On we might as well bury the channel truly dead in the ground. Let's get it totally flagged for adult content. But yeah, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Every time, because every time a horror trailer drops, we're there and we watch them and we kind of get all hyped.
There's
up.
always someone like,
I would say it's like 90% of the comments on most new moments within horror at the moment are it's just met with like, it's not what I wanted it to be. It's not what it was. Blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
It's just like, come on, guys.
Tell us.
When
did you first encounter horror?
Films. I was but a child. I would say, okay, so early 90s for me. So back in the early 90s, I would have been a wee slip of a boy. I was a younger man.
He was 30.
I flopped out. I flopped out age 32 immediately. I'd grown within the womb. No, I would have been about, I would say 12, 13 years old back in the early 90s. And at the time, it was me and my mum and my brother living in the house. My little brother was I think he's about 5 or 6 years younger than me. If you're watching this, we've reached that point in our lives where age it ain't nothing but a number.
Kev's the same age as me.
It's inconsequential. You're 34. So Kev's same as you. So he's 4 years and 8 months younger than me. Is that better for you? 4 years and 8 months. Okay, I was trying to just round up.
I might be wrong.
Be smooth. No, it's 4. He was January. I'm August. So 4 years 8 months. So that's probably gonna be wrong now. He's gonna come for me. So obviously when I was 11, when I was 12, 13 years old, Kevin was like 8 or 9, so he would go to bed a bit earlier, and I would stay up, and my mum started working her way through all of these VHS films because there was an amazing shop in Scarborough called Movieland, which later became called Movies and, because he sold other things, and that was basically the worst business decision I've ever heard of. Movies.
Interesting choice.
And what, mate? Finish your sentence.
Stuff.
And movies and but he had this whole. This is like early 90s. So this is all VHS tapes. He had just rows and rows, shelves. He must have had thousands of VHS tapes. And my mum decided to start at 0000001, and it was 50p for 2 nights.
What?
So she would every day after work. She would go to Movieland and she would get a tape and she would bring it home and she would watch it and she would return it the next day, and she'd get the next one. And every time obviously there was a lot of stuff in there that I, as like a 12, 13-year-old boy, I wasn't particularly interested in. I believe the first one, actually, I don't think you can see behind the sign here, is a film called Motel Hell. Is it up there?
It is.
This is the first. This is it. This is the first horror film that I was exposed to. It was made in 1980, so it was the year I was born. It was made
$7.99.
Well, the thing is, this is the case was trash. So this is actually a Faulty Towers VHS case with a reproduced label on, because this is it's quite a difficult film to find. But yeah, Motel Hell. It takes all kinds of critters to make Farmer Vincent's fritters. It's an incredible film. Like, I mean, imagine being, if you've seen Motel Hell, have you seen Motel Hell?
No.
Imagine being, if you have seen it, imagine being like 12, 13 years old and watching Motel Hell. There is a whole section where, to fertilise their grounds, they put the guests of the motel into the earth, and they put bags over their heads, and then they slit their throats and let them bleed out into the soil. And there's a guy running around with a pig's head on and a chainsaw, and it is a real, like, whole video nasty. And then there was, broader stuff, like there was RoboCop, which, RoboCop is a hard 18. Like, the original Peter Weller film is a real hard 18. There's no cutting corners in RoboCop. Like, you've seen, of course you've seen.
Mate,
of course you've seen
on,
RoboCop.
mate.
Sorry, who am I talking to? Yeah, I mean, but imagine being 13 years old and seeing the pure level of violence that's in that film. I was just sat there like,
Thanks, Mum.
and then we went into stuff like, I suppose it just kind of grew from there. I found Evil Dead, Peter Jackson's early stuff, and it was always for me just like that.
Oh my God.
Sheer joy of absolute gore.
Peter Jackson's early stuff.
Yeah, Brain Dead, Bad Taste. Even The Frighteners, which was slightly more mainstream, but still like one of my all-time favourites.
Meet the Feebles.
Wow. Meet the Feebles is incredible. There's obviously recently they've tried to reinvent this with Happy Town Murders, was it called?
Yeah.
We've not seen it yet.
No,
We've not seen this yet, but
good.
it's as soon as I think on DVD when it comes out, Blu-ray, we'll do a.
I'll reserve judgment because I haven't seen it, but people have.
It got
told me
slated.
that
Yeah,
it's not
it got
good.
slated. I think it's one of those films like, I think if you encounter a lot of Muppets fiercely wanking off through keyholes and stuff, and Muppets violently ejaculating.
Oh.
As they are in the trailer for that film, there is a shot where
Hi,
there's
Mum.
hi mums, hi friends and families, and hi grands. But even in like the trailer for that film with Melissa McCarthy, there's puppets ejaculating violently. I'd imagine for a mainstream audience, there's like a lot of like. So when have we ever listened to critics? We just don't, do we?
No.
We never have done. Make up your own mind, and that was it. I was in, and then obviously as soon as I was old enough to, Scarborough was a small place, so I couldn't be sneaking in like 18 certificate films. I had to wait until I was 18. And then I started, but then I was 18 in like a few months, and I moved away to go to university, and I worked in a Blockbuster Video. So, ta-da! They were all there for me. I was just going home with just armfuls of terrible. I could see the woman who ran the place was a woman in her like mid-40s, late 50s, and she was very concerned about me. This 18-year-old boy walking home with like 2 Tesco carrier bags full of VHS tapes.
Heavy.
Heavy.
Heavy shit, that
I
is.
didn't live far away, so it was fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was quite close by.
well done.
And that was it now. I just love it. I love it.
You just love it.
I just love it. I just
Can I
love
tell
it.
my story?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell mine
Bye.
again, because it's so... So, Laura, tell our viewers at home, all 23 of them. I'm going to say this is going to get 23 views.
My horror
Tell us your horror history.
historia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I remember, I've not got a very good memory of when I was little. Anybody will agree with me that knows me. I only remember things through photographs, really, and very memorable occasions. But I remember me and my sister, and my sister's best friend Claire, who is definitely going to watch this because she loves horror films, and so does her husband. And basically, we used to get our respective parents to rent horror films.
Nice move.
from the video shop. We'd go after school, and then we'd pick out what we wanted, and they'd rent it. Standard.
Like a shopping list of the macabre. And
there was a lot of stuff we shouldn't have been watching, really. I don't know how old we were, because I don't remember that stuff. But I definitely remember watching all the Halloween films, Friday the 13th, Scream, when that came out. Still one of my favourites, watched it the other day, still love it. Psycho, pretty much anything that's classic horror.
I think you're more classic than I am.
Like, more modern classic, not like Frankenstein. Well, I mean, we did watch stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then we used to watch really random stuff, like, I can't even remember the names of some of it. Just stuff where there was, like, cheerleaders, and it was probably called Zombie Cheerleader Outbreak or something. Like, we just used to go for the random stuff.
Well, that was a thing, wasn't it? Like, in the 80s and 90s, was to basically take 3 words...
Yeah.
And just smash them together.
Yeah.
Lumberjack party orgy.
And I remember
well, off they would go.
Growing up, me and my sister Amy, we grew up with my mum and dad in a house that was quite at the outskirts of a village, but quite, how do you say, like, we had a big garden, lots of trees around.
This is the house that your mum's in now.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, slightly remote.
Yeah, remote.
Yeah,
That's the word.
That's
remote.
the word.
Wasted.
That's the word. Half-hammered horror.
And I remember, like, it actually seemed not that long ago, but it was quite a long time ago, the first Blair Witch Project film. I wasn't old enough to see it, but I went to see it at the cinema. I think that's right. Like, I don't think I would have been old enough. I don't know when it came out, but...
First Blair Witch, mid-90s, I want to say? Maybe a bit later than that.
I was born in 84, so I'm pretty sure I wasn't old enough. Anyway, I went to see it at the cinema on the opening night, and on the same night, my sister and Claire watched it at home on some kind of weird... I don't know how they did that, actually, because that was before pirate DVDs, because DVDs weren't a thing, I don't think, when Blair Witch Project came out.
No, pirating's been around for a long time.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, they watched it at home on the same night because they couldn't get into the cinema. And
they get refused?
They didn't even try because they were just little. And so I came home and I was proper freaked out. They were proper freaked out. And then we have quite a big garden. My sister's scared of wolves, I know this. And I was like, oh my God, let's go down the garden. And we went out to the garden. It was very freaky. And then I chased them up the garden going, "Roar, roar," some kind of freaky wolf dog thing. And never forget that my sister was really, really upset. And I'm pretty sure she cried.
You traumatised your sister.
Traumatised her for the rest of days. Yeah, she was scared to look out of her bedroom window at night. I'm pretty sure she still is. I'm sorry. Yeah, so moving on from all that jazz, that was my horror roots. And then university, I did my dissertation on Japanese horror films.
So you know your stuff.
Clearly very influenced by horror.
I did my dissertation on... This is long before me and we knew each other. This is... I did my dissertation on censorship.
Ooh!
So video nasties. So I had this whole thing where some of my favourite films, like, would they have been the success that they were if it wasn't for Mary Whitehouse? If Whitehouse didn't get all like, oh, these are terrible, you can't watch them, and they're just going to erode society and destroy the youth of, would they have got the traction? Would people have sought them out? I mean, probably not. They were awesome. I don't know. I mean, that was my whole thing. That, well, they won't.
Everybody wants what they can't have.
Forbidden fruits. Forbidden fruits.
More cats.
So there you go. So basically what we're driving at is horror boffins. Hoffins.
Borrowfins.
I did it. Hoffins was fine. That was the peak. That was fine, You're not going to beat that.
I'm sorry. I need to rein it in.
I mean, it's about time you realise this, to be honest. So we're going to move on to the topic trilby.
Oh, it's not a trilby.
It's the topic. Give me the topic. The topic pork pie hat doesn't quite flow. Topic pork pie hat.
Oh no!
For the sake of argument,
that should be it.
So topic pork pie hat. No,
The topic pop I had.
for the sake of fluidity, we're going to go with topic trilby. Okay. I'll get a trilby at some point.
I'm going to bring it back.
Oh, do you mean?
Topic pop I had.
What we did was, so we turned to our Facebook page and we asked to be given some topics to talk about, and we got some. I think we got about 12 or 13 replies. Thank you very much if you were one of those people. And we don't know what we're going to talk about. We'll maybe do one or two at a go. These are kind of briefly going to punctuate what we're going to talk about tonight. But I'm in the hat. I'm going to drink that in. I'm going with this one. What's it going to be? I've got one. And we're going with tonight. First of all, this is a nice one. This is, which horror universe would you survive in? But who dies first?
Who decides?
Who decides what?
What universe? Because that's going to judge who survives. Who wrote this question?
I can't remember. I deliberately didn't write down who did what because I didn't want to favour the answer in any way. I wanted to kind of keep it slightly neutral.
Horror universe.
Before we go, I'm going back in. Okay, I'm refilling.
Okay, so
that was a lot of rum that went in there.
Can I just choose one?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, you choose the universe.
Friday the 13th.
Oh, shit, man. I mean, I'm dead straight away.
So basically, camp.
So I'm dead in the first 10 minutes and you're the final girl. I mean, that's how that's going to happen.
Not necessarily.
Oh, no, I think so. Look at me. I'm clearly dead within the first 15 minutes.
I don't have boobs.
That was a massive awkward silence there where I had no idea how to respond. Because, again, your mum might listen to this.
Films, though.
I can't compliment you on them because...
Yeah, you can, mate. Thanks.
I think they're fantastic.
Friday the 13th.
I'm a big fan.
That's too much. Final girl.
Yeah.
Historically has big boobs until recently.
No, I don't know. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis, Halloween.
Can we just pause the proceedings here to let everybody know that, in fact, Jamie's middle name is Lee.
Jamie Lee.
I love it so much.
I mean, there's a huge
Jamie
thing.
Lee.
What?
Like Jamie Lee Curtis.
I mean, Jamie came from... this is a huge... We've gone off on a tangent, but it's fine. Jamie came from the Doctor's Assistant. Do you know, my whole experience of Doctor Who was it's marked by the assistants, not the doctors. Who the hell was Ace the assistant to? I want to say McCoy. Awkward. We're not a Doctor Who podcast, nerds.
Forget about it.
But yeah, Jamie came from... There was a Scottish assistant played by Fraser Hines.
Yes.
Who I interviewed. Yes, I did a thing. I did, outside of all this lovely stuff, I sometimes do film work for people, and I interviewed Fraser Hines, and I told him in that dressing room, I was like, I'm named after you, and he was really lovely about it.
He was proper chuffed. Was he chuffed
to bits?
He was
proper chuffed. He was proper... I mean, he's Scottish, so he was proper... I'm not going to do the accent.
However. Who would die first?
Me. In the Friday the 13th universe, it's me. It's me. It's clearly me. I'm the.
You're not a jock.
I'm not a jock. Yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think out of me and you, I'm first. I think out of the whole cast, I'm maybe second or third. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say.
I think I'd go somewhere in the middle. I don't.
I'm not gonna put. You're not final girl. I'm gonna say you're maybe like penultimate. You're the one. You're the final girl's best mate.
Am I the one that everybody really wants to survive?
Yeah. You're the one that like
just heartbroken when
she
dies.
On the jetty. You face off against him, and
you're like,
nearly
at the boat. I'm nearly at the boat. I've got the petrol.
You've got the
limp.
I've got the oar. You've got the harpoon gun.
And then he just like jumps out of the water behind me.
No, but you wreck him a bit. You're the one that stops. You're the Freddy versus Jason. You're. Is it Brandy something? She's the one that stops and like basically lets them get away. She meets him on the jetty and she's like, let's go. You're Billy from Predator.
Let's go, bitch.
You're like, let's go, motherfucker.
And then he's like slapped dead.
Yeah, I reckon you get a few licks in though.
I reckon
you kick him square in the nuts.
And then just like split me in half and like dangle my head.
Yeah.
And then
I think
final
he grabs you by the he grabs you by the hair puff. He gets you by this little puff here, and his head comes out, spine flapping about all over the place.
Yeah, that's
But the good news is, I went out real bad. I went out while looking in the fridge. That's how I go. I'm looking at the party sausages.
But does your body get displayed for other people to see? Because
I'm found. I think I'm found folded up in a fridge.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, mangled in a fridge. All right, I'm going to flip it now. Horror universe, Saw universe. The Saw films.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You're in trouble, mate.
Yeah.
You're in trouble.
I'd get my hand in some used needles or something.
Yeah, you get thrown into like a bucket of really angry like pugs or something. They've not been fed for ages.
No,
They're
that's
just
not accurate. That would never happen in a Saw film.
No, I reckon your Saw film, your circular saw blade.
Really?
Straight
Is it
up.
3D?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it goes everywhere.
Okay,
It goes
I'll take
everywhere.
that.
I've survived though. I'm in the sequel. Then I die. I reckon I'm a sequel hopper in the Saw films.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I reckon you'd be like a prodigy.
I'm like Luke from the Gilmore Girls.
Can we just accept
Then
that I
went
said
into-
prodigy?
Protégé. Protégé.
Luke!
From the Gilmore Girls,
Yeah.
which we're currently enjoying on Netflix. We're not all about the horror. Sometimes we
Oh.
like some wholesome family fun.
Somebody spoiled that for me today. Yeah. Anyway, can we? Do we?
He's in the. I think this is the thing. The Saw. I've got a real love-hate relationship with the Saw films because I watched the first one in the cinema when it came out, and I thought it was insane. Like it was so good, and then you look like Arseface from Preacher. Then do that again, straight down the camera.
There was a belch. I just went-
Give it to the people at home. He's in the later ones, which I never made it to because I went to watch the second Saw film in the cinema back when it came out, and I left because although I love guts and
You're a dick.
blood,
You need to watch them.
I am. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do
gonna
it.
watch them with you.
I think we should do in the future. We should do franchise specials.
Okay. Yeah.
Like if to qualify, they need to have 4 films or more, and we'll smash them all in a week, and then we'll do a podcast about them, and be like, wow. But yeah, I think So Friday the 13th, I'm done, folded up in the fridge. You survived to the end,
Yeah.
nailed by Jason on the jetty or the highway. Not like that, because he's asexual. It's 2018. He's a man of options. Me Saw franchise. I first film with me, be it Saw 48.
Slightly nerdy.
I then get into Saw 49, then dead. Yeah. Make the people love the character, kill him off
Sounds
real bad. So we're going to move along, chasing topics like
The
Pac-Man
topic
chasing
badger.
cherries through the topic badger. That was much smoother. We're going to talk about. But this is your choice. This is something you've chosen to talk about. And this is something that is.
Ooh.
I'm going to let you introduce this because this is something that's so close to.
Stephen King adaptations.
Oh,
It's hit and miss. Hit and miss. Anybody who knows their Stephen King books / films, he's not got a good record for like having good adaptations of his books.
I'm pretty new to the Stephen King world. Like, I didn't have a huge experience of Stephen King before we met, really, because first time I walked into your flat, there were walls of Stephen King novels. There were. I mean, you have every. I think it's fair to say you have every Stephen King book released
Up until the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Because apparently recently he's just gone and like written a book a day.
like a sprinkler, just firing books out.
And I don't feel like his heart's in it at the moment. I'm sorry, SK.
If you're watching this, buddy, don't unsubscribe from my YouTube channel. Turns out he's one of them, one of the 5. Yeah, I mean, I think you take the lead on this one. I
Okay,
think.
so
you tell us.
Let's start with. So I just want to put it out there. So I've got a favourite Stephen King adaptation.
Okay.
But I'm not going to start with that.
Okay.
I'm going to start with the biggest disappointment.
Oh.
Anybody that knows me knows that I enjoy the Dark Tower novels.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's right. And I heard that there was going to be a film.
Oh.
And a part of me was like, oh my God, like everything that I've imagined from reading these books, the many, many books, is going to just come true and it's going to be a dream. But then another part of me was like, it's a film. it's only going to be at most like 2.5 hours long, and they're not going to cover it all. And oh my god, that was very, very right.
I'm leaning away from you in fear because I know I was there and I watched it with you.
So I put off watching it because I was scared that it wouldn't be what I wanted it to be. And how many months was it before I watched it? Like, well, no, it came out on Blu-ray.
Well, we skipped it at the cinema.
I reckon it was about 6 months.
And this is something that I do. I sometimes will buy a horror film on Blu-ray and it will sit on a shelf.
Because you're scared.
Because I'm scared. I'm like, oh God, what if it isn't what...
But it was a bitter disappointment.
Oh.
It wasn't what I wanted at all.
McConaughey.
Not at all.
Wow.
Like, I thought the casting...
As Owen Wilson.
Like, I thought he would have been really good as the Man in Black. Like...
I thought it was really weird because...
But he also could have played a really good Roland.
Yeah, McConaughey could have been either. And... Oh, what's the name of the guy who plays Roland? It's Idris Elba. Who is, like, let's face it, like, he's one of the greatest British actors working together. He's incredible. And he brings so much power and gravitas to everything that he does.
But not that.
And then McConaughey is
let's take our shirts off.
But he's a great actor. Like, he's a fantastic actor. Like, there's no denying.
It was just not.
It was just the worst. It was.
And there weren't any of the things that I wanted.
Bamboozling.
I can't even remember it because I was so angry. Like,
there's a lot of bullet time.
Like, angry forgot it.
Like, they brought that right back out of the 90s. They were like, bullet time's great. Let's do a lot of bullet time stuff. Like,
I got that
slow motion leans. And...
You know, where, like, you're really... I was really proud to love the Dark Tower, and I've even got a tattoo. I'm sorry, Mum, to vouch for my love of the Dark Tower. But I just, since the film came out, if you say Dark Tower and someone's like, "Oh yeah, the film," I'm like, "No, I can't."
It was,
it's ruined it for me.
It was upsetting.
It really has ruined it for me. Unfortunately.
Do you know my first encounter with a Stephen King adaptation was the made-for-TV movies, The Langoliers.
Oh, that was one of the things that I rented from the video shop.
Top notch, right? It was it made in the 90s?
Ultimate cheese.
Like crazy little Pac-Men flying around at the end, eating everything up.
It's really scary though.
It is. And I think it's one of those ones that, like, the concept of it is phenomenal. Like it's one of those moments where Stephen King's brain has just gone and something fantastic has fallen out, because this whole idea about a bunch of people being trapped in some kind of stilled moment while time is being eaten by these monsters is fantastic. But then the execution of it, when they actually appear and they're like eating the runway and stuff, they just look so... Because obviously it was the early 90s, and it just looks... It's so terrible. They look like little evil Pac-Men, like but the stuff around it is genuinely terrifying. But I think it was my first time. I think I watched it, and at the end it was like, based on a story by Stephen King, and I was like, oh, he's a man I've heard of. But now I feel slightly more. I'm obviously nowhere near the education you've had, but I'm getting there slowly.
Let's talk about it.
Oh, yeah, you're a big fan.
Yeah. I'm a real big fan.
This is a good moment for you.
Actually, a real big fan of the new film, because I was a bit protective over it. The original.
That original with Tim Curry is so good.
Actually, really love the new one and watched it again recently, and looking forward to the second film. But you have just started reading the book.
Yeah, I have. So I read a lot. I think I read maybe... I mean, this is going to slow me down, because I normally get through maybe 2 or 3 books a week.
It's a fat bastard, that book is.
It weighs in over 1,000 pages.
It's as big as my face.
And I'm struggling with it, to be honest.
No,
I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna plough through.
Okay.
But obviously, I think the problem I've had is I watched the films. Obviously, I watched the miniseries a few,
You've got
decades back.
So much coming in the book that isn't in the film or TV.
The recent film that came out this year. Last year, with that awesome little dude from Stranger, Finn Wolfhard. Either way, what an insane name that is to have.
He looks like my Auntie Susie.
Okay, have I met her?
Yes.
Have I? Oh, if she watches this, I'm real sorry. What's she called? Susie
Smith.
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, she doesn't. That's why I was confused because I was like,
He's a beautiful boy.
I was trying to envision some sort of woman who looked like a small brown-haired little. But no, what?
No, he looks like her, not she looks like him.
Okay. I mean, I can't see it.
He's beautiful. Not
He is
she's a
beautiful.
small
I think
boy.
he's fantastic. I hope he's not one of these kids that disappears. I hope that like 10, 15 years, I hope he goes to full DiCaprio. I hope that 20, 30 years from now, I'm sitting down to watch him in like big prestige
I
films.
don't think he'll go DiCaprio. I think he'll go Andy Samberg.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. Like motion capture stuff. Like what?
What?
Hang on, wait.
Like, I think he'll have a good, like a comedy.
Andy Serkis.
Oh,
Andy Serkis.
no.
Half-hammered horror. Half-hammered horror. Half-hammered horror. Like as in SNL. Andy Samberg, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah,
Kind
I
of.
think he'll be like
okay.
a comedy hero.
Oh yeah, do you know?
He's a funny kid.
His timing is fantastic. But yeah, like that was my. I think that was one of my top 5 films from the last couple of years. Just it's weird. Like, you lose timing of things. Like you kind of think you know when stuff happened, and then you try and like, and your brain just goes. Time becomes nothingness.
I'll tell you what though, I remember when we watched that in the cinema. Mm-hmm. It was at View, and the man in front of us was really fat, and he got through a multi-pack of pork scratchings in the cinema, pork scratchings in a cinema.
Firstly, nothing against fat men. I'm on the way. I've got no doubt that age 45, I'm going to basically be a basketball on legs. It's fine, but there are options to bring into a cinema.
A quiet snack.
6 packs of pork scratchings ain't one of them.
That's not the way.
Ain't one of them. It's noise all the way.
No one is real busy, and there's
It's
someone
noise
sitting
all
right
the way.
behind you.
Well, not only have you got the rustle of going in to extract a singular pack of pork scratchings,
The crunching.
you've got the initial extraction of your pork scratchings, and then you've got your opening of your foil individual pork scratchings, and then you're in to the. That's not even there yet. We're not even there yet. Right? You've got your rustle trying to be quiet. You're trying because you're aware you're in a cinema, so you're trying to open your pork scratchings in a quiet.
You wasn't
but
trying.
you're not. It's not happening because you're in a foil bag, and then you're into your foil bag with your little hairy knuckle snacks. Unbelievable.
Pork knuckles.
And one by one, we encounter.
But also, he was wearing a puffer jacket, I'm pretty sure.
So he's rustling.
So his coat was rustling as
Physical rustling, edible rustling, and then when he left all
the packets.
individual packets on the floor.
Wouldn't happen in my cinema,
Come
mate.
on, mate. If you're out there and you ever encounter this, make better life choices. He was having a great time.
Was he?
He
was like this.
well, you know,
I think he fell out of the doors. When the
eating
film
6
finished.
bags of pork scratchings is a very physically demanding
I'm
situation.
pretty sure the man next to him was crying as well, and he was his friend.
Just please no. Every time he waited for I think by the time he went to bag number 3, he was like, oh, Terence, why?
I don't think he was called Terence.
Hmm?
I reckon
Eric.
he was like, no. Come on,
Mike.
No, I think he was John.
I think we're very judgmental to people that like to eat pork scratchings at this point.
An easy name. How many Erics or Terences do you come across in everyday life?
Not a single one.
I wouldn't reserve one of those names for him.
Okay. So I feel like we're going to.
I reckon his friends called him Hoglump because that's what he does all the time.
Oh my god! Can I ask you something?
I went to see It last night with Hoglump.
If we ever have kids, right? Can
Hoglump.
we please call our first child Hoglump? Oh god, I'd love to be called Hoglump. What an amazing name that would be. When we go for a job interview, Hog.
Could we plural it? Hoglumps.
Oh shit.
Oh, yay.
On that note, we've been talking for 46 minutes. Let's take a quick break.
Yeah, I need a pee
little
real
breather.
bad.
We are working our way through some serious booze. The HOGLUMPS were far too exciting. So at this moment, please enjoy a message from our fictional sponsor. I've got no idea what's going to happen here in the edit, but let's find out. She's going. It's too late.
Oh, well, after the break, I'm going to present Jamie with a snack. I can't sit like a human being.
We're back. There's a whole discussion before we started filming about this, how we should sit.
I can't sit normally. My mum will vouch for this. At Sunday lunch, when we were growing up, I always used to get told off because I couldn't sit on a chair properly. I'd always sit like this.
I spent the whole first half of this doing that. Like a comatose man on
Like a sofa badger.
coma. Did you hear I said comatose? This is entirely your fault. Fucking comatose. So we have relieved ourselves. We are rejuvenated, and we have returned unto the fold.
And we did laugh for about 10 minutes solid.
The idea, if you've got a baby on the way, I'm just saying there are worse names out there than HOGLUMPS. I'm going to write a kids' book next Christmas called The Adventures of HOGLUMPS.
Smith.
But Stephen King adaptations. Let's briefly dip a toe back into that before we move on. So, yeah. I mean, as a topic, what else can you say other than some of them are good, some of them are not good.
Most of them are bad.
They are, aren't they?
A couple are good.
It's a real stretch to name
I'll tell you the real good ones. Misery.
Mm-hmm.
It. I'm going to say...
Double It.
The Shining, both the film and the TV series.
But he hated them, didn't he? He hated the film, and he made the TV series
I think
himself.
the TV series is better.
I haven't seen the TV
Why am I
series.
talking to the Trilby?
Because the Trilby is the font of all wisdom and knowledge.
I prefer the TV series, but many people will differ. I think that it's more exciting. There's more of it.
Okay, that's on my list.
And I kind of hope that they're going to make... I just don't check anymore because I'm scared of the answer, but I hope that they'll make a Doctor Sleep film. No, I need it.
Oh, you do need it?
Before we move on to the next section of the show, which is another dip into the toes of the topic Trilby.
Toes?
I don't know, toast, what? I'm going to present Jamie with a snack that I know he'll enjoy. You're not ready, mate. I went into Tesco and I scoured the snack aisles, and of all the things that I saw, this is the one thing that I 100% knew would be perfect for you. It is a multi-pack of Palm Bear.
Fuck's sake. Fuck. Oh.
Bring it. I'm hungry.
Oh my god, you can't eat.
I'm really sorry.
What were we just talking about having a multi-pack? Also, other terrible salted snacks are available. What were we just talking about?
Rustling.
Microphone peak.
Hold on. I'm going to decant them onto the table. There we go. That's that problem solved.
Delicious.
Pick up your bear bits, mate.
Bear bits everywhere.
It's funny because we always discussed how of all the crisps, why would you ever choose a Pom Bear? You wouldn't.
Well,
So really it was just to spite Jamie, but...
right, okay. They're just nothingness. This is a whole thing, so there are certain foods that I have issues with. And I don't have an issue with Pom Bears. I just think whoever walks into a supermarket and goes, "Ooh, proper fancy some Pom Bear. I proper fancy some Pom Bears." You know, sometimes you get a craving for a Pringle, or you'll lust for a crinkle cut steak and ale McCoy. No one's ever like, oh, give me a really shit-looking bear.
This one looks like a rabbit.
They're not even bears. They're just lump. Oh no!
Oh wait,
actually,
no, it's upside down. That's its legs.
So
Turn it upside down though. Rabbit.
If you're watching from, I don't know what the reach of a pom bear is. If you're watching from a country that doesn't have a pom bear, basically they're like a
When I was growing up, you could only get them on holiday.
There's no artificial colouring, no artificial flavours. They're gluten free.
They've got a belly button.
They're basically joyless entities. They're like puffs of air with a little bit of salt on them.
And they're really noisy. They are akin to pork scratchings in a cinema.
We find ourselves dipping into the topic trilby for a second time this evening. And we shake, and we shake, and we find ourselves with a random one, and we have... horror movie rules. How not to die. So this is basically how to survive a horror movie.
Well, like, if you've seen Scream, then there's a couple of things.
Randy had it best.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like he laid down 3.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot more than that. So the first one, obviously, we have ruined extensively. Don't drink.
Yeah.
Don't drink.
You're dead.
It's worth it. It's delicious.
I'm alright. I haven't had anything to drink.
Don't do drugs. Don't have sex. Don't blaspheme. Never say I'll be right back. What else are we talking about here? We're talking... Now, for those of you that are listening on... If this doesn't end up as some kind of audio podcast somewhere, I apologise for the rampant crunching that you're hearing. Because even though I said no one's ever like, ooh, I right, fancy some pom bears. When presenting with pom bears... It's nothing but a good time.
Yeah, you haven't got as many as me because you threw yours all over yourself.
There's a few on the floor here. I mean, I sweep regularly.
I feel like I need to get it out of the way and have like 5 or 6 in one go.
This is it.
Oh my god.
They are really good though.
En masse.
You could have like 5 or 6 to get that hit of like flavour, but yeah. Yeah, we've lived together for too long. It's official. It's official.
How not to die.
How not to die.
What would you say if you had to give one piece of advice to anyone in a horror film?
Don't have a good time. Don't have a good time.
I think you're wrong.
Don't do anything. Don't run.
I would say, quite simply, mate, don't be a knobhead. Because let's face it, when anyone dies in a film, it's always because they've been a knobhead.
Is it though?
Pretty much.
I mean...
Give me an example when it wasn't.
I know there are some out there. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah. Oh. Fell asleep. Knobhead.
Okay. Hereditary.
Knobhead family.
Yes, fine. They are. No. Gabriel Byrne. And how did he burn? Terribly. Spoilers. If you've never watched Hereditary, I've just ruined it. It's fine. It came out like a year ago. Catch up.
No, it didn't.
Came out 6 months ago. Catch up.
Maybe.
That's an interesting one, isn't it? Hereditary. Let's maybe talk about that in the remakes and reboots, which is up next. I don't know. I don't think there's any way to escape it. I think it's absolute potluck. I think the thing that keeps horror films interesting is that the rules change all the time. Sometimes you're like, okay, if I don't drink, if I don't do drugs, if I remain
If you
pure,
avoid small Japanese boys.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I live in York, we live in York, which is not the most diverse of cities. I think it's fair to say. Don't look awkward at me. That's a fair statement.
I was quietly eating a pom bear.
Quietly suckling upon a pom bear. There's not a massive amount of small Japanese boys in York. Wait. Although, quick side note. Okay, so I'm not going to go too deep and horrible into this, but sometimes I suffer from waking nightmares, waking dreams sometimes. And thankfully, it's been a while since I've had one. I once had one about 7 or 8 years ago, where a load of people kicked in my front door, ran up into my bedroom, grabbed my duvet and dragged it down, pinning me into my bed and started screaming at me. That was a stressful time. But it wasn't good at all. But then before that, a few years previous, when I lived in Scarborough, I was staying with my mum for a little while before I moved up to Edinburgh, and I watched The Grudge, and then I had a waking nightmare where I woke up in my bedroom and the little boy from The Grudge was just doing the peek over the side of the bed, and he was just here, like he was just like. He didn't do that. He just stared at me, and I looked, and I think for like a good 15 minutes, I just stared at this little Japanese boy, and then I went and woke up, and he wasn't there, and that was an uncomfortable time. That was an uncomfortable time. I've not had one of those in a while, which I don't think since we've been together I've had.
I live in a
one.
frigging nightmare.
What?
Every day I go to work, it's terrifying in that place. I'm not going to tell you where I work, but it's terrifying.
Oh, the cinemas are available.
And we've just watched The Haunting of Hill House, which also, that's a story for another time.
I think it's fair to say you're I think you're fairly safe. I think in a horror, I think you're more safe than I am. I think, again, going back to the Friday the 13th thing, I think when it comes to a horror film, I think you would get further than me in a straight horror film, and this kind of like slaughterhouse kind of serial killer thing. I think it was like kind of this modern ghost story thing that's sort of rolling around at the moment. I don't think either of us would do particularly well. It's just my iPhone letting me know that I have now, in case you're interested, ladies and gentlemen, I have burnt a record calories today. It's been a heavy day. I've now burnt 1,217 calories today.
It's a lot walking.
But I'm still fat. What's that about?
You're not fat.
Burning like 1,000 calories a day.
Your pash.
Still got a right middle-aged donut around the middle. A horror story unto itself.
Let's move on.
Moving on. So that was how basically how not to die in a horror film. Just don't do anything.
There.
Don't do this.
Don't sit still.
Don't eat pombes. Just sit really still. Yeah. I feel like a lot of horror films, I think like people make bad decisions.
That's why I was saying being a knobhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think like, I know I just said we'll move on, but like briefly dipping a toe back into it, I feel like some of the best horror films and action sci-fi horror, things like that, are the ones where you feel like they're making great they're making great decisions, but are still woefully outdone. Do you know what I mean? Like Aliens. Like, I feel like there's a whole thing recently like where it's just terrible people like going into basements and just Prometheus going up to things and being like, it's a space penis, I'm going to poke it.
Oh, poke it.
Poke the
Oh,
space
God,
penis.
no, I'm dead.
Oh, I'm the best biologist in the world that's
Shouldn't
been
have
sent
poked
across the universe to investigate these. Oh, I'm going to poke a space penis. Oh, it's so beautiful. Give it a slap. Oh, it's killed me. Surprise. Fucking hate Prometheus. Makes me so angry. This is it, because you quite like it, but yeah. But then Aliens, big...
I believe it's pronounced Alien.
Aliens. They make great decisions, but it's the sheer unstoppable nature of the terror that's coming for them. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's why it's good, because you never go, oh, come on, guys. You're like constant, with the exception of some of the more flawed characters. When it's the Marines and they're being tight and it's all under control, but there's just no hope for them. That, I think, is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great... If there's any writer out there that's ever thinking, I'm going to write a horror film, okay, write characters that make good decisions but are still completely unraveled. That's the key to it, I think. Right, don't do the cliched thing like, oh, I'm just going to walk down into the basement with a torch that's flickering and flashing. In my underwear, slightly drunk. No, stop it. It's done. I think it's great, like, where you feel like they've got this, but it's just unrelenting. I think that's a whole thing. I can feel the point I had dissolving away into J.W. Spice's rum in a very neat thing.
In a little pirate ship on a brown
Let's
ocean.
move on to remakes and reboots. So this was my thing.
Mm-hmm.
You had the Stephen King adaptations, and I had the remakes and reboots. So this is a whole thing at the moment, obviously. Yeah, remakes and reboots. This is like
Most recently, Halloween.
Yes! There's my boy. There he is.
Put it on.
Lurking around in the
Put it
background. Okay, give me the...
Oh, that's squished a lot more.
He's a bit squidgy. Yeah. It's a tiny head. I don't know what this is in here. So this is oh. Yeah, so remakes and reboots. Yeah, I mean we can't ignore this is a thing that happened. I'm pointing at the microphone like that's not what I know how cameras work. This is a whole thing. Such a good mask. This is such a beautiful mask. Yeah, there was a whole backlash against this.
The hair.
The hair?
Oh, the new film.
The Halloween happens, and we watched it like the couple of days after it came out, and I don't know, we loved it. We genuinely loved it, and
brutal.
Almost felt like my enjoyment of it was it made people a bit angry. You know,
I didn't feel this.
So social media is a whole thing. Like you're not as active on social media. I use Twitter quite a lot, and I tweeted that I enjoyed Halloween 2018 or H40 as some
Halloween
H4 because it's 40 years after the original whatever. But I was immediately, and this is a whole thing now. Like there are people who devote time to finding people on the internet who've enjoyed something that they haven't liked, Pom Bear, and they will hunt them down. Then they will try to disprove them somehow. Like I enjoyed this, and then like coming out the shadows, like you're wrong. Here's why you're wrong. And it's like shh. Just let people enjoy things. You're completely within your own right to not enjoy it. If you hated Halloween, it's fine. I mean, I'm kind of sad for you because we thought it was great.
Just rein it in.
If you don't like it, we kind of fell out a little bit with Walking Dead. We got a bit. I think around it, we were like, whatever the season that's on now. The season before then, Negan appeared, and they spent like 10 episodes trying to shoot Negan with all these bullets that appeared from nowhere, and we just got a bit burnt out by it, and we just stopped. We might pick it up again. I'm sure we will pick it up again in the future. But what have we got? Pom Bear on my face, Pom face. But we just stopped watching it. We just kind of same with Arrow and all that kind of But I mean, but we just stopped watching it. We stopped watching the DC Universe stuff, and maybe again, I really enjoyed The Flash. We maybe pick it up in the future, but what we didn't do was devote tens and dozens and hundreds of hours to hunting down people on the internet who are like, I really enjoyed this episode of Flash. How? You're wrong. Just let people enjoy things. We love the Halloween reboot.
We just thought that Walking Dead got a bit boring, and that's fine. We don't go around being like, oh, it's boring. Shut your mouth, it's boring.
Yeah, we certainly weren't picking fights with random people. I knew you were going to do that at some point. I knew the dancing boobs were going to happen at some point. Can I have it again? One more time.
It's because I love Spaced.
Remakes and reboots. I don't think they're necessarily always a bad thing. It can get a bit tired. So, like, obviously, we're filmmakers. We're making original ideas, and we're not in a place where we've been offered anything like this. Obviously, you don't know what happened. There might be, I hear Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is up for grabs.
This guy.
I'll have a go. James Gunn's one of my favourite directors. I like Slither and Super. Oh God, such a good.
Oh, I want to watch that again. Actually,
that's going to happen this week. And Guardians, I felt like they kind of reinvigorated quite a stagnant feeling. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like superhero films, but I kind of got a bit burnt out. And the Guardians happened. It kind of hit reboot, and yeah, But I forgot my point. I'm going to just... Two films that I would say have massively influenced how I make films. Evil Dead, RoboCop.
Ooh,
Okay.
didn't expect that.
Okay. Two of my favourite films from growing up. And recently we had Freddy Alvarez, who made the remake of The Evil Dead. Or it's very... He's never really come out and said, has he, whether it's a reboot or a remake or a continuation.
It's really good, whatever it is.
Whatever it was, it's awesome. I nearly did, and I dropped an F-bomb there, and I got very excited, nearly did. But, yeah, the 2013, I want to say, 2013 Evil Dead with Mia is, it's just beautiful. And if you got it on Blu-ray, it has some of the best behind-the-scenes making of I think there's a featurette called Keeping It Real, and it shows you how they did some of the effects. And that, for me, was just, it was so incredible to see, because as a small filmmaker, to see this, like, massive set, but with it's still the same core at it, you know what I mean? Like, I could recognise what we do on a film set.
Yeah.
But just with, like, I always talk about The Onion, don't I? I always talk about The Onion. Like, if you've got small budget film, you've got the, like, little nubby bit of the onion in the middle, and you got a couple of
Onion
little
brain.
bits outside. The onion brain is normally me and Laura and our DOP, whoever's on the film at the time, and then there's like an outer layer. The more money you have, the more onion you have. Yeah, the more onion
Accurate.
you have, the thicker the onion layer is.
Thick onion.
And, like, you know, the girl who played Mia running through, you know, several feet of dark or awful water with cameras flying in behind her and people getting taken out by the stuff. And the bit when she's sawing her arm off at the oven in the kitchen, and you can see the guy's,
I
like,
need to watch that again.
coming behind her and he's doing the whole thing. And this is stuff that we've just done on Chester'sburg. It's stuff that we did on I Am Tim and Final Girl. Like, you know, I recognise, we did an effect recently where we had a guy getting his jaw torn open, and just the simple matter of just having one of the runners putting the arm through, and just kind of doing that as the jaw. Good old Jared is Jared and Callum. It's difficult to tell them apart sometimes. I'm gonna let that hang there for a moment. It's not at all. They're completely different people, but we just like winding them up a little bit. But yeah, we just jammed an arm through, and it got all involved in the effect. And yeah, so that was like the Evil Dead was just like, it's so good. It's so good. I love it. And I love the originals. We love Ash versus Evil Dead. We've not watched season. We've just got the Blu-ray. We've not watched season 3 yet. We're going to watch that in the next couple of weeks. A huge fan of Bruce Campbell.
The chin.
So I was like, you know, when they were like, there's an Evil Dead film coming out without a Bruce Campbell, I was like, palpitations. Got a bit sweaty about it.
But it was good.
It was so good. It was so good. My friend James, who worked with me for some years as part of Redshirt Films, he used to come to conventions and stuff with me. He bought me Evil Dead for my birthday. It would have been my maybe 34th birthday. And I think you said earlier on, I left it on a shelf for like 6 months. I was like, And then one night with a couple of beers, and he just pulled it off the shelf, and I was like, no. And he put it in the DVD in the player, and I was like, no, I can't. And he hit play, and I sat there, and I was like, oh, okay. And about 10 minutes in, I was like, okay. And an hour in, I was like, oh my God, this is just. And by the end of it, I was just like, more. And I think I watched it again the next night. I just put it straight on again after work because it was so good. But then on the flip side, the flippity flop, there was RoboCop.
It's not really a horror though, so.
I mean,
there we go.
I would argue that it is, to an extent. Like, it's a sci-fi horror.
Yeah.
It's Paul Verhoeven and Verhoeven. And it was one of those... It sort of rolled around in the same place as like Predator 2 for me. That kind of like grimy portrayal of America, future America. And I love this. Like, looking back now, you see these films are like, it's 1999. And it's like people walking around with like tinfoil visors and like they're on space hoppers and stuff. Past future. Future past future. And the first RoboCop is relentless and it's fantastic, and then the second one wobbles a bit, but it's still beautiful fun. Then there was RoboCop 3, and he got a jetpack, and that was upsetting.
Come on, jetpack, awesome.
No,
It's not awesome.
no. I'm gonna class RoboCop as a horror because I remember watching it when I was younger and being stone cold terrified of ED-209. Like, he properly haunted my dreams. So I remember as a child having two specific nightmares. I remember one becoming, again, waking nightmare, and I thought there was a face hugger in my room that I shared with my little brother when I was like 8 or 9 years old, and he was about 2 or 3, and I thought there was a face. See, now I'm like, he's up here. I don't think you can see him in the shot, but we have a face hugger. Maybe you'll meet him in a future episode, but we got a replica face hugger up here. And I was like, it was in there. It turned out in the end it was a moth. Which I know is a real
Disappointment central.
brief context. There was a giant moth in the bedroom, and I was just like, when you're so tired you can't quite comprehend what was going on. I just convinced myself. And then my dad was like, it's a moth. There's a ghost story for you. But ED-209, or Ed-209, whatever you want to call him, it became, I don't know, just that bit when, they're demonstrating it in that room full of suits, and it just rips that guy to shreds. Oh God! And there's something about that kind of Harryhausen. We're hemorrhaging points here. That stop motion animation that they did with him with his big stompers and his massive guns, it made him even more terrifying. In a way, it made it sort of more nightmarish. Like when they did like puppet work in Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff like that, there was something slightly more, because it was like, it almost felt like you were watching kind of like 6 or 8 frames a second within a 24 frames a second container. It made it just feel slightly more like it's not right. There was something about it. Something about it, I like it. They're like kind of like juttery. Like in the 90s when they did that whole thing about they would film people walking backwards and then reverse it in like House on Haunted Hill and stuff. And that really messed with me because that's kind of like, it's not...
I know what you're talking about.
It doesn't look right. Yeah.
That dude, the scientist dude.
Yeah,
doctor
with his weird...
the friggin' white robe.
With his weird walk. Oh, no thanks. But then obviously the remake came out and I was hyped for it. I was hyped for this remake and I wanted it to be phenomenal, and we went to see it, and I just remember watching the whole thing, just like completely felt nothing, walked away at the end of it. There's one bit in it that I thought was good, is when he takes all of the machine away. Do you remember that? Yeah.
I thought it was good.
Did you?
I enjoyed it, but not as...
Let's fight! No.
Yeah.
I lose. Do you know the bit I mean when he's like show me, and the arm comes up. I mean, and of course, Gary Oldman, he could paint a wall, and I would just tune in and watch it.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was literally like, "Welcome to Gary Oldman Emulsions, a plaster wall for 4 hours." I'd be like, I'd buy a ticket, and I'd watch it. He's fantastic, and he's great in that film. But the guy who's Captain Vanilla Waffle, I think is his actual stage name. Yeah. Who's in what is it, Altered Carbon on Netflix recently?
I don't remember
his name. It was good. I enjoyed that, but he's not in it a huge amount. He's actually really good in it, but as Alex Murphy, I just don't think you can make that sort of film anymore. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like Die Hard did the thing. Die Hard got to the point where they started hiding the violence.
Oh, let's not talk about hiding the violence.
That's what I mean. If you're going to drag back into... Like, Evil Dead rolled around in the Clara in a great time. But RoboCop was like, let's not. Let's hide everything. Like I don't know. It just felt like... I don't know. I wanted to see bits of meat flying off people. It's time, in our slightly drunken state. I feel like the further along this has got, the more it's unravelled. I feel like we started this real tight. Like it was full of energy and it was just like... And I feel like towards the end, it's just kind of gone a bit...
We need someone to moderate us.
I think we do. I think the next time we do this, we're definitely going to have someone sat behind the camera and they're going to be giving us some stuff. All right, so we're going in to the topic trilby.
What do you say? The topic pot pie.
The topic prepared.
Topic pot pie.
Topic prepared. We're going in for the last time. you know what? You should. You should. You haven't done one yet. Grope them. What have we got?
Practical versus CGI effects.
Oh! What? Well, that was written for us, wasn't it? Practical. Did we really get that? Mm-hmm. Oh my god, we did. Look, it's there. Practical versus CGI effects. How much better was that?
Moist.
Being CGI. If that was CGI, it wouldn't look right. That was practical.
Speaking as someone who makes CGI.
Ooh, this
effects.
is interesting. Yes, because you are a VFX artist, and I am the man who is just like, let's do it in camera, much to the distress of
But
some of the
you
actors.
will allow me to add 2.
So I will allow you to. You can heighten what is already there. Heighten.
Okay. It depends on the effect,
Yeah.
because you can't very well go blowing holes in people's walls. You can't really do that. Go on.
I mean, it depends where you are. It depends what's going on. Like, so at a certain level of filmmaking, you absolutely can't. You can't say, hey friend, can I film in your house? Bullet holes everywhere. But if you find yourself at a level of budget and filmmaking where you can build a set,
Well, yeah, but
and you can,
yeah.
I think if you ever find yourself in a situation where, I think that's it, like practical versus VFX. And the thing is, you've got to imagine, like, VFX and CGI now is not what it was 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Like, the line is becoming thinner and thinner. And I think for anyone to say no CGI, no VFX, no digital work is a bit daft.
Dickery.
It's a bit like, ooh, la-di-da, because the line is getting, the line is getting thinner and thinner. Like, you can lose yourself now in even like the big superhero films. There are points where you're watching it, and when you see the behind the scenes, and it is just literally Robert Downey Jr. in like a grey set of pajamas with little dots painted on him, you wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
Like, he looks like he's just wearing that suit and stomping around. And I think if any filmmaker goes, oh no, whoa, is it more fun to do it practically on set? Absolutely. Is it more stressful? Yes. I mean, we know this, like, more than anything, like the lead time of and the cost of doing something practically on camera. There is a magic to it. Certainly.
The risk factor.
Yeah, there's a will it not look right. I mean, we did a shoot.
Is it going to hurt someone? Is it going to ruin someone's property?
We did a shot with you involved recently where we did some pickups for a film that we're making.
Does she have a spare pair of jeans?
Laura had to push a guy into a lawnmower, and this was not our lawnmower. This was the lawnmower of the guy whose location, whose property we were filming on, and it was an expensive lawnmower. We were like, as a director, I got more distressed about, am I going to ruin this several £100 worth of lawnmower than actually getting my shot in the end. And we obviously we're not going to go too far into the mechanics of how we filmed it, but we ended up putting quite a lot of distance between you and the lawnmower, which was still covered in bin bags and all sorts. And even then, on set, it looked great. In camera, it doesn't look great. You've not really seen much of it yet. I've edited this together. It doesn't look. It looks okay, but we're gonna enhance it. And I think that's the thing. I think there's certainly like a snobbery, I think, against CGI, and I think if you can find that point where you can blend the two together, and it looks, I think it's when you know it's CGI, when you know that you're looking at the rock at the end of Scorpion King, and you go, I think that's when the problem is. Yeah. I
think CGI should be reserved for additional. I think practical, and then CGI.
That is fair. Yeah.
Depending on the film.
Depending on your film, yeah. I think if you're doing horror stuff in particular, I think if you're doing horror, there's a certain charm to being able to say practical effects, to say we did loads of it, and it's almost like a kind of rite of passage as well. I stood in the rain at 3 o'clock in the morning, and we had an actor buried up to his chest in the ground, and there were pipes everywhere, and people. It's an art, it's an art form. It's like there's a certain kind of magic to it when you watch, and you know that they've figured out how they can do this and capture that moment in the camera, rather than going, let's just sort it out in post. There's a huge difference, I think, between putting a green sock over someone's arm and having them doing that, to positioning them into such a way than having someone provide the arm and, cables manipulating the fingers and stuff, and then I think there's if you can do it practically, do it practically and enjoy it and take the time and figure it out. But who's to say, like 5 years from now, that's how the curve's going. It might not need to. You can spot CGI in, I'd definitely say, like blood related stuff.
Well, I mean, we notice it. We can tell the difference, but your average cinema goer will not have a clue what's real and what's not.
Bit more of the eyes. Starry eyes. Well, going back to the Stephen King stuff, we watched the behind the scenes makings of on the Blu-ray of it, and when he's coming out the fridge, like so much of that work is him. Like the physicality is him moving in a certain way, and then they enhanced it. So he was already pretty folded up in that fridge when the door opens up, and is it Stanley he comes for? No, it's not Stanley. It's Inhaler. Mikey? No. Come on, mate. You're the.
No, they mess with it. I don't know.
Don't, mate. You're too gone. You're too half-hammered, horrid. Too half. Stanley.
Eddie.
Is it Eddie?
I think so.
Yeah. We're going to go with Eddie. We might be wrong, but yeah, they all said it. They kept him away, and I think that's part of it as well. It's practical filmmaking. They kept him away from the kids in it to such an extent that when he finally appeared, it was like, holy shit, he was there. But then the work that he was doing, they said that they were all genuinely quite frightened of him because he was just coming at them and already
in full makeup. He was friggin' terrifying.
Yeah, he was mental. He was absolutely terrifying. It was crazy. Nightmarish.
With his big old forehead.
With his giant forehead. But I think, you go back to stuff like the Motel Hell that we've talked about tonight, like Peter Jackson's Brain Dead. I mean, that is wow. I mean, when Lionel is going through the foyer of the house with the lawnmower and just churning everything up, and that they've just spent a whole night just throwing blood everywhere. They've just had a great time and also a horrible time. That's the thing about practical effects. It is equally a horrible and amazing time.
Someone has to suffer.
As talking for someone who's been, when we made a web series a few years back called I Am Tim Helsing, and I was Tim Helsing, and I was just frequently covered in all kinds of stuff, just all bloods and fluids. And one point we had a whole half-burnt face put on. It took 3 hours to put on, and I sat in a makeup chair for like 3 hours having this thing, which basically looked like a bit of salmon glued to my face, and it looked amazing. But the just sitting there and having it painstakingly put on my face, but it was so worth it because it looked amazing. And then there were scenes that we cut from season 3 where you poured like 4 litres of fake blood into my face.
Never.
And we cut it. We cut this whole scene. It was a bit Evil Dead-y, where I was kind of suspended in midair while someone kind of held me and then sort of chanted some awful satanic verse, and then kind of, and then we had this thick black gelatin blood, and you just had, didn't you have like two 2-litre bottles of the stuff, and you basically emptied one and then switched out with another one. Face. And I was being waterboarded by this stuff, and we cut the scene, and that was one of the hardest things that I had to do, was because I always said, if I'm willing to do it, I'll ask other people to do it, but never anything. If I looked at something and went, I wouldn't do that, I would never ask anyone else to do it. And I think that was a good thing. I think that was a good idea. It's a good thing to do, you know. Because firstly, you should never probably ask people to do things that are too insane. But we, over the years, we've buried people up to the ribs, and we've had guts pouring out. We've had poor Richard Massara, who plays Philip in Chestersburg. He probably was the most uncomfortable of anybody, because he was kind of on his front, but kind of buried, like bent the wrong, like kind of upwards, like he was lying on his belly with a gag underneath him, and he was folded the wrong way, and he was in the ground for like 45 minutes. And at one point he punched me in the mouth, remember, rightfully so. He called me over, I've got to tell you something, and I went over to listen, and he punched me in the mouth, and that was fair. That was fair. I buried him in the ground to his parts. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, I think definitely that it's shrinking down. It's shrinking down, and I think the line between the two. What do you think I was talking about? The pom bears. The pom bears are shrinking down.
Definitely it's shrinking down.
Definitely shrinking down. I think we should wrap it up. I think this has been a remarkable experiment, but I feel like we're flagging a bit now. I feel like we've maybe talked for like an hour and a bit, and we're going to cut this down to some kind of. We'll keep the energy stuff.
Keep the energy.
Keep the energy, but you need to come back into the fold, because like what happens is Laura gets tired and she becomes smaller and smaller until she is the size of butter walnut on the sofa. I can tell that she's flagging now, because she's just slightly kind of.
I'm sorry.
Folding
I found a pom bear.
And the energy's back in the room. Everyone's good and stuff. But let's say our farewells. Let's say our sweet goodbyes. If you're listening to this on the podcast side of things, if that happens, I'm sure that it probably sounded like we were full of energy. If you're watching it on the video, you will see that Laura has kind of shrunk, and my eyes have become smaller and smaller.
Like piss holes in the snow.
Piss holes in the snow. Like the toes of Pennywise glistening in the breeze.
I think he's got quite big toes.
I bet he's got massive toes. I bet he's got toes like small hams.
Like his toes are fingers, and you just put them in your mouth like.
I bet his toes look like maracas.
HOGLUMPS.
10 HOGLUMP maracas in a row. But this has been Half Hammered Horror. I am Jamie.
And I am Laura.
We are fully hammered, I would say. We've gone too far. It was an experiment. There's a lot of rum and gin on this table that no longer... It's inside of us now. And it's become a part of us in the universe.
Whether that's a good thing remains to be seen.
Who knows? Who knows? Will we do this again? You let us know. You know, we're gonna milk with me. Come on, don't frown at me.
I don't think you're milking properly, mate. Yeah, come on, you have to not like that. What's wrong with you? Jesus Christ, please don't let him near your cow. If you have a cow.
Or your children. I'm so sorry. Do you know what I said? I'm not going to let it go. I've got a dark sense of humour. I can't let it go there. That happened. Oh, Jesus. This is why I have a script editor. I have like two people between me and then the real world. I write a script and then I give it to you and to Alexander King. And I'm like, please remove all the me from this film. That's my entire career ruined. What just happened was we've cut a part out of this episode in which I said something so horrific that 20 years from now I would be fully James Gunned. I would have been fully James Gunned. It involved hand movements. It involved terrible jokes about... It's been a pleasure talking to you. Good night. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, comment. If you've watched the whole thing, let us know by writing the word flummox in the comments.
No.
And I'll send you a keyring.
Not flummox.
Why?
HOGLUMP.
HOGLUMP. Write the word hoglump in the comments.
It's 2 words.
Is it two really?
Hoglump.
You can't have a name that's... Is it a double barrel, like a hyphen?
Jonathan Hoglump.
Jonathan Hoglump. It sounds like it's one word to me. You call it. You let us know if it's 1 or 2, whatever. Write hoglump in the comments, okay? We'll know you've made it to the end of this entire thing, which is, quite frankly, remarkable. We'll send you a keyring and a badge. A keyring and a badge. A keyring and a badge. You can re-gift them for Christmas.
Keyring and a badge.
People won't know what it's from. They'll be very confused and think you're a terrible relative.
And a badge.
On that note, I think it's over.
Wait.
It's the end. Somehow all the batteries have made it to the end. We're going to say our fond farewells. I've never been particularly good at goodbyes. So,